interactive notebook, we're going to be converting fractions to decimals. Now, converting fractions to either decimals or to percentages tend to take the most time and effort. And the reason being is because you're going to have to divide the numerator by the denominator. So go ahead and write numerator by denominator. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to do two examples for this one. The first one, let's say we had 4/5. Okay, and don't use up too much room for this. So we have 4/5. Now we want to go ahead and convert that into a decimal. It says to divide the numerator by the denominator. So what's going to happen is the 4 is going to go on the inside and the 5 is going to go on the outside. Now what I tell students is it's kind of like the fraction has toppled over. So the 4 would end up in the inside and the 5 would be on the outside, your divisor. So we're going to go ahead and start our division. Can 5 go into 4? No. So we're going to put a 0 in our quotient. Now, because we want to keep this division alive, we're going to go ahead and add a decimal and a 0, and I'm going to go ahead and transfer that decimal up into my quotient. Now I can say that 5 can go into 40. 5 goes into 40 8 times. 5 times 8 is 40, and when I subtract, I get 0. So our decimal now is going to be 8/10. So we found that out simply by dividing the numerator by the denominator. Luckily for us this time, the remainder ended up being 0, so we got to our decimal rather quickly. Sometimes we don't get to it as quickly, and I wanted to show you an example of that. So our second example for this one will be 1/9. Now we're going to go ahead and set that division up. Our 1 is going to be on the inside and the 9 is on the outside. So it's kind of like the opposite of what you would think. Now 9 cannot go into 1, so I'm going to put a 0. And to keep this division alive, I'm going to go ahead and add a decimal and a 0, making sure I put that decimal up in my quotient. Now 9 can go into 10 once. 9 times 1 is 9, and when I subtract, I get 1. Now 9 can't go into 1, and I don't want to leave a remainder, so I'm just going to go ahead and add another 0 just to kind of see where it would take me. Now 9 can go into 10 one time. 9 times 1 is 9, and when I subtract, I get 1. So what it looks like is going to happen is that I'm going to keep getting 1 and 1 and 1, because 9 times 1 is 9, and when I subtract it from 10, I'm getting 1 every single time. So you could do one of two things for this particular problem. You can either write 0.11, or you could write 0.11 with the repeating bar, because it's going to keep going on and on and on. So there's some times where the decimal is going to come to an end, just like we had in the first example, and then there's going to be times where the decimal might go on and on and on. When that's the case, we usually just do about 2 or 3 place values, and then we go ahead and leave it at that point.